Sorry, but
Hello and welcome to the Mindfulness and Family Recovery Mini Summit, where we have just a few short interviews to share with you on the benefits of a mindfulness practice when you have a loved one who is struggling with addiction or a mental health challenge. Because we know, for those of us who've been there, that that's a lot to cope with, and it takes its toll on all family members. And lots of times, we as family members and caretakers can very often get so consumed in the caretaking of our loved one that is struggling or suffering. Sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. And I do believe that the key to family recovery has to start with the person looking back at us in the mirror. We all think that we'll be fine once our loved one gets better, or once our loved one changes and everything like that. And you know what? We'd be waiting a very long time. And I truly, truly, truly believe that when we as family members make ourselves as healthy and strong as we can possibly be in mind, body, spirit, we can bring a better self to this incredibly challenging situation. And that's why I created Mindful Family Recovery in my business, where I support families and do workshops. And that is why I created the Serenity Circle, which is a very special community where we offer people who are struggling, and it's also open to people in recovery as well. But it's a lot of addiction education and a lot of support for families who just need to get healthy and strong again, because like I said, the situation can be extraordinarily challenging for a lot of people, and we don't make good decisions, and we don't handle challenges well if we're not in a good mind state, if we're not, for a little bit unbalanced emotionally because of our situation. And eventually, those emotions, if we're not managing them well, or, a lot of that stress that we're under, going to end up with physical ailments as well. So we're going to have it all to deal with. So I truly believe that's why I brought together an amazing assortment of teachers, leaders, and healers into the Serenity Circle. And we have a whole wide variety of workshops and classes and support groups and book discussions and open discussions and all kinds of um, coaching sessions and group coaching and all sorts of things in there to support you on your journey to family recovery. Because we believe that we can get you healthy and strong, we can get you to recover, then maybe you can do a better job of leading your loved one to recovery, because they'll see something in you they want for themselves. So that's the idea. And I know it works. I know with absolute certainty that it works, because I was there. I've been there. And that's what has compelled me to build this beautiful community, this beautiful space. And one of the beautiful people we have in that community is Dawn Heywood. And she's here with us today to tell us all about mindfulness. She's a yoga teacher, and I love her classes because she's really, really good at making yoga accessible. Now, so many people say, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible. You want to drive a yoga teacher crazy, say that. It's not about being flexible. You can breathe, you can do yoga. And I know that Dawn is a believer in that philosophy as well. And because it's true. So, Dawn, I would love to give everybody the opportunity to get to know you better. Tell us about yourself, how you serve, and especially what you do there in the Serenity Circle.
fabulous. Namaste. Thank you, Karen, for this opportunity. Namaste is a traditional greeting in ancient South Asian locations. So I like to start my classes with Namaste instead of ending classes with Namaste.
Beautiful.
Honor the traditional roots of this amazing ancient practice. I'm Dawn.
And what does that mean, Dawn? What does namaste mean? Tell us.
Namaste is I honor the light in you.
Yeah. The light in me honors the light in you.
Yes. I do close my sessions saying
Mhm.
it in English, but it's not the very last thing we do. We close the practice. The light in me honors and adores the light in each of you.
Mhm, mm. That's so beautiful. Yes,
And
there's lots of variations to that. So anyway, I digress. But you brought it
yeah,
up. So tell us about yourself, Dawn, and how mindfulness and is important to you and in your life and in your in the work you do.
yeah, absolutely. I've been practicing yoga for 20 years. I started while I was pregnant with my younger daughter, who will be 20 later on this year.
Mhm.
Uh, I first came to yoga as a physical practice to relieve pain, my lower back, my sciatica, and eventually it became a craving for the mental clarity that comes from a regular practice. And
Yes.
that's that can be a very normal evolution, particularly if you're starting in a more fitness based community where the practices are faster. I started a little bit, I actually started with the slower practice, the slower vinyasa practices, more like a hatha style where you hold a pose for a few breaths rather than just moving very quickly. I also am a strong believer that you can move at your own at the pace of your own breath. So if you are, breathe in slowly, take the entire inhale to move into the pose and the entire exhale to move into the next pose. And that's one of my approaches, is really to teach my students to slow down and to take those guilt-free moments of rest throughout their day. So everything I teach on the mat, you can take off the mat. I've been teaching for about 5 years now, and I focus, like I said a moment ago, on the more slower restorative types practices. And I've evolved into teaching chair yoga. So adopting and adapting the traditional standing and seated poses, bringing the floor closer to you. And and the reason I got into chair yoga has a lot to do with the community I was serving at the time. They had knee injuries or hip injuries or back pain, and it was difficult to get up and down off the floor.
Mhm.
Um, and yes, I can teach people how to do that. Um, but the interest was more to be in the chair and use the chair as a tool for creating a more solid practice for yourself. So instead of struggling with balance,
Mhm.
put your hand on the chair. This is not a there's no right or wrong way to do yoga in my book. Um, it's really more about learning how to connect and tune into what your body is telling you. So we spend a lot of time with introspection, so reflecting inward, observing the breath. And to me, that is the secret sauce to yoga, is really practicing and learning how to listen with your conscious mind, but also your heart, and all of the energy and breath that moves through you. Because as Karen said, emotions, if they're not released properly, do store themselves in your body. And there's a lot of science to talk about that.
Mhm.
Uh, so when you work with, when I'm in Serenity Circle right now, once a month, the second Sunday of every month. And I offer a combination of movement and static poses. So you'll move very slowly with your breath, because dynamic movement helps move the energy and release conscious and unconscious tension and stress from your body in a safe way. And at the same time, I'm also a believer in holding poses for a little bit. Now, we don't depends on the class. Um, in a typical yin yoga class, you'd be holding poses from 3 to 5 minutes. Depending on the class, I might hold the pose for 3 to 5 minutes, or maybe just 5 breaths, just to give your body an opportunity to catch up with your mind. So when we hold the pose for a while, it actually gives your mind an opportunity to send the signals to your body that it's safe and okay to let go of the conscious and unconscious tension, because we don't realize, especially when you are caring for a loved one in with addiction or in recovery, you may not realize that your body is curling in,
Or this.
and the ears are starting to come to your shoulders.
Mhm.
And the more often you come to your mat, into my space, you have the opportunity to practice noticing where your body is when you walk in and throughout the class. And I
Mhm.
teach you how to pay attention and how to take that deep breath when it gets tough. And these are all tools you can take off of your mat. And they all link into mindfulness, because mindfulness is all, and to me, is all about connecting to who you are, as well as being, so that way you're able to better connect with everybody around you.
Jeff, beautiful, beautiful. You hit on so many things. And I also often tell my students too that when we're moving mindfully, um, there can sometimes be an emotional release, and that's normal. And I like to tell my students that because nobody told me that. And I'd be bawling in yoga class after the end of the yoga class. I'm like, I thought there's something wrong with me. I'm like, why am I crying? But so much was stored inside. And after a vinyasa class, or that I was taking hot yoga at the time, oh my God, the release was unbelievable. And nobody told me that was so I like to make sure everybody knows that. And our emotions, we have them. We call them good and bad, but they're all necessary. And we have to feel them. They're there for a reason. So we have to feel them to heal them, right? We have to let them pass through. We have to acknowledge them, feel them, experience them, let them go through. So very important, because if we don't, and what most people do is we distract, we avoid, we do anything possible to avoid feeling them. And that's what beautiful yoga teachers like Dawn allows us to do. We can be in a safe space. She holds a safe space for us to feel the feels. And we need to. We really, really need to, because that's such an important part of healing, right?
Yeah,
And and that, honestly, it can be really scary to do alone. So it's good to have a community of people to do that with, don't you think?
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It does make a huge difference, because then you can share what you're experiencing
Yeah.
and know that you are not alone. And I know from my personal experience, that has been a really huge part of my healing journey. I'm still healing. We'll all be healing.
We all are. It never ends.
Absolutely. And while I don't always cry on my mat, sometimes I do. It's not as intense as it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's a different kind of
Mhm.
healing, feel lighter and more open. I can feel my sternum cracking
Mhm.
um, after classes. So, and
Heart
I
opening wide open. Mhm.
my passion is really, as Karen said earlier, is to create a space where everybody feels welcome. You don't have to have back pain. You don't have to have emotional pain to benefit from these practices. Simply having a space to to be okay, to slow down,
Yeah.
is stopping that mad rush of, oh, I have to do this for this, your list of appointments is this long,
Mhm.
and this yoga space allows you to put that to-do list in a little box and put it on the side of your mat.
Yeah.
And yes, the brain will come back to it. Yet at the same time, you have the opportunity to practice, like Karen said, acknowledging what's coming up for yourself, noticing where it's manifesting in your body, and then using your beautiful breath, which you always have with you, to move that sensation towards ease. You push it, you push it out in a safe space by acknowledging and breathing through the discomfort, because like Karen said, it's temporary. Or maybe you didn't say, but I will say
Yeah.
the discomfort is temporary.
What they
And
say, 17 seconds or something like that for emotion to pass through. It
mhm,
really doesn't take that long. But we spend years and lifetimes, entire lifetimes avoiding them. If we just allowed it just a few seconds to just feel, be recognized, acknowledged, felt, and let it pass through. And when we don't, then we end up with all, and I truly, truly believe, and like you said, the science backs it up, what we're not healing emotionally will end up as a physical ailment. I truly, truly believe that chronic pain or chronic illness of some sort. And they say a bunch of the majority of the chronic illnesses are stress. Stress,
absolutely.
so we may not be aware of any emotional issue or anything. I may not be clinically depressed or whatever, but we're all carrying a lot of stress and it's taking its toll.
Mm. Yeah. And
And, as I say, the mindfulness practice is just such a beautiful way to manage the stress that I know so many family members live day in, day out. It's just a lot. Now, I can't promise you that a mindfulness practice or yoga is going to make all your problems go away. But what it will give you is some clarity. It'll give you a chance, just a chance to stop and come to a better headspace. You just feel better. Do you make a decision when you're stressed out like this? Do you make good decisions that way? No. But do we make better decisions, and can we meet our loved ones where they're at from a place of peace and calm? Like I said, I can't promise we can solve all your problems. We can't promise you that, but we can. We're not going to be jumping for joy and all the time happy. That's not the promise, but I can promise you at the end of a yoga class, you can, in time with practice, come away feeling a great sense of relief and calm and peace. And I think contentment is a pretty good place to strive for. For a lot of people there are a lot of people, especially in our community, that are in the depths of despair with dealing with this situation, which, by the way, 2 out of 3 families are dealing with. 2/3 of all families are affected by addiction and mental health in some way. So there's a lot of us out there struggling with this issue. It's an epidemic, and we got to find a way to cope with it a little bit better. And I think a mindfulness practice is so powerful. So we promised little takeaways, a little something people can use, people can learn. So how about some skills or some tools we can put in our toolbox for coping with these day-to-day struggles that we're all dealing with?
sure. One of the most accessible practices really is to breathe. So I just backed up a little bit in case I do decide to do
Yeah.
a demonstration of a physical pose.
So we're going to do a demonstration. This is awesome. Great.
Yes. So the invitation is to come into a comfortable seat. You can do this lying down if you'd like,
Mhm, mhm.
or sitting. Notice where your shoulders are placed and imagine them moving over your hips, feet lightly pressing into the earth, or perhaps some books to raise the floor closer to your feet. If it feels safe, I invite you to close your eyes, or otherwise take your gaze down towards the floor in front of you. These few moments of grounding Give your mind and body an opportunity to arrive. Inhale deeply through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale loudly. Begin to notice the stress melting away. Inhale, fill your chest with fresh air. And exhale slowly, allowing your body to sink into the support of the surface beneath you. Again, inhale through your nose and exhale, arriving. And don't worry if you can't breathe through your nose. Breathing through your mouth is perfectly normal as well. Arriving, beginning the process of turning inward. Observe the natural rise and fall of your breath. Paying attention to the place in your body where you feel your breath the most strongly. It could be your chest, it could be your belly, it could be your back, or even your cheeks. And turning even more inward, this is a great practice when you only have a few minutes and you might have some lower back pain, or your body is feeling very agitated, your mind is feeling agitated. It's a breathing technique, and it's called belly breath. And we do a little bit of core activation, a little core work as part of it. So locate the point in your lower belly between your belly button and the base of your pelvis. You can place your hands there if you like, just making a triangle with your thumbs and your fingers, just placing that on your belly. Imagine in the center of that triangle, or center of that space, a bright light, whatever color you like, your favorite color. And as you naturally inhale and exhale, notice if the light begins to pulse. It grows bigger with each inhale and releases with each exhale. Just do that for a few seconds here in silence. And as we move through this practice, if at any point you feel unsafe, your body is extra agitated, or you have pain, I invite you to back away, basically stop the practice, and just allow yourself to observe your natural breath here, and move in whatever way you need to come back into a safe space for yourself. So in your next inhale, imagine that light growing bigger and bigger, filling your entire belly pelvic bowl. And as you exhale, squeeze your belly muscles, sending that light to your heart. Inhale. Imagine the light coming back down into your belly, filling your belly, and exhaling lightly, tucking your lower belly muscles in and up toward your heart, sending the light back upward. You can even imagine the light going all the way up through the center of your body, out through the top of your head, crown of your head. Again, inhale, light fills your belly. Exhale, engage your belly muscles in and up, sending the light upward. And continuing this for about 30 seconds at your pace. Gently releasing this practice, going back to your natural breath, allowing the lower body to release. And simply for a few seconds here, observe. Did anything change? And it's okay if it didn't. Each time you come back to this practice, the deeper you can connect with the mindful movement of your body with your breath. In closing practice today, I invite you to bring your hands together, palms together, thumbs right at the center of your heart, thanking yourself for taking the time to find a few moments of guilt-free rest for yourself. You will be stronger, more centered, and able to shine your light on your loved one and take them through this journey together in a calm, safe space. The Light and Teacher in me honors and adores the Light and Teacher in each of you, and may the rest of your day be wonderful. Be well.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's just an itty bitty little taster, a little bit of a demonstration of yoga. And thank you so much for that, because so many people are missing out on the benefit because they don't know that that is yoga. It's breathing is yoga. Well, yes, turning into your body into a pretzel, that's yoga too. But there's more to it than that, and that's fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we have the yoga industry perpetuates this belief that it's a lot more difficult than it really is. And unfortunately, a lot of people are missing out on the many healing benefits of it, because if you can't put your leg around your neck or something crazy, oh, I can't do that. So it's not for me. Right? Isn't that tragic? That breaks my heart. That totally breaks my heart. And there's beautiful teachers like you that are sending a different message. It's like, no, anyone can do this. You can do it on a mat, you can do it on a chair, you can do it lying in bed.
Absolutely.
And just breathe, and you can feel so much better. And lots of times incorporating, I always tell my students too, incorporating that breath with the movement can be kind of tricky to get the hang of it for a while. It takes practice. So we do have to give ourselves some grace, as it can be kind of awkward in the beginning. Yoga can be kind of intimidating, which is the beautiful thing about doing it from home. When you're not in a studio, nobody has to see you. Some people are self-conscious. So I think that's a beautiful thing about the at-home practice. People can practice in the privacy of their own home and explore and really get a chance to experience that. We get Dawn and lots of others in there. So she's not the only one teaching yoga, and everybody's got a different style. And that's the other beautiful thing about it, which I love. So thank you.
Welcome.
So I'd like to close and ask you, Dawn, before we wrap up, what's your experience been in the Serenity Circle?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. You kind of hit the nail on the head with the yoga. I mean, there's so much more, and I'll talk about that in a minute. However, I really enjoy the different styles of yoga because I am a teacher, but I'm also a student. And
Mhm.
I really enjoy experiencing different teachers and their way of teaching and their different styles. Everybody has a little bit of different ways of teaching. Um, m- Even my yoga teacher training, we all learned the same way to teach, but we each have our own different way of presenting the material. So I love the diversity of offerings. I am learning so much from the people in this space, the healers and teachers. I feel very loved and supported, and I really just love being able to experience in one place all different kinds of offerings, from sound healings to meditations. And each meditation with the same teacher can be very different. For example, I was in one meditation where the teacher went to the ocean, and she's like, I've never gone to the ocean before. And then in another class, the same teacher, we went someplace else. So it
You gotta
is,
be talking about Denise. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. She's awesome. Love her. Love her.
yeah, yeah. And it's just, I learn something new. And I also feel for the first time in a long time, my inner child is being held. And that means a lot because I feel very safe and I can come in to this space and into an event and be totally like down in the dumps and really sad. And I walk away and uplifted and energized just by being in community with the wonderful people here at Serenity Circle. So I don't just teach, I learn myself. So thank you.
And that's a requirement, by the way. The healers must heal as well. And yes, that's very important. It's not just a bunch of gurus that, oh, we have it all together. We're going to tell you what to do. No, we're all students too. And we're all on our path. And we're all very, very enthusiastic about sharing what we've learned on our path. We may be just a few steps ahead of some, and not as far ahead as others. And we're just all on a journey. And there's no real gurus among us at all, but there's just a lot of compassion, a lot of wanting to feel welcome and just give us all a space to heal. That's what it's all about. So Dawn, I so greatly appreciate your contribution and thank you for sharing your skills. And I think people have something they can take with them. Oh, I tell people, even if you're sitting at a red light, just meditate. It's a great time to meditate. Just, what, instead of being like this, I'm stressed out. I'm in a rush. Just like breathe. Or in line at the grocery store, right? You don't have to sit on a mountaintop for 3 hours to be meditating. You can take a minute here and there in the grocery store line. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And it's a great tool to bring yourself some peace and calm, which we all need, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time, Dawn. This was wonderful. I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the circle.
Yes. See you there.